My wife said she'll leave me after my mom dies. I just nodded. Then let her walk into hell. I knew something was wrong the moment she smiled at the waiter like nothing happened. We were at this fancy rooftop restaurant I'd spent weeks saving for. Candlelight. Violinist. The whole deal. It was my wife's birthday, and I had poured every last cent into making this night perfect. I even borrowed money from my emergency fund, one I'd been quietly building ever since I noticed her growing colder over the past few months. But none of that mattered when I saw her face light up, not at me, but at her phone. "I'll be right back," she said, barely making eye contact. "Just a quick call." She took her purse and walked toward the terrace, her heels clicking against the marble floor. I watched her silhouette disappear through the glass door. Something twisted in my gut. She'd been distant lately, checking out emotionally, dodging intimacy, constantly working late. I thought maybe this dinner would bring her back. Remind her who we used to be. God, I was so naive. I waited a few minutes before deciding to ask the waiter about dessert. He nodded and walked off. I was about to sip my wine when I heard something muffled voices just beyond the glass. It was her. I don't know why I moved. Maybe some sick instinct. But I got up and followed the sound, slowly pushing open the door to the terrace. And then I froze. She was standing with her back to me, phone pressed to her ear, laughing softly. Then I heard it. Clear as day. "He's pathetic. Blew our last money on this stupid dinner like it's going to fix anything. Don't worry, once his mom dies, we'll get the house and I'll leave him. Just hold on." Not much longer. I didn't breathe. Didn't blink. The world just stopped. She laughed again. A light, careless sound. The kind you only make when you're certain no one's listening. I stepped back inside like nothing happened. Took my seat. Smiled at the waiter when dessert came. Ate my creme brulee while she returned, lips glossy and eyes gleaming like she hadn't just gutted me with words I'd never forget. I didn't confront her. Not then. Not even when she leaned in, pretending to be grateful. "This is amazing, babe. You're so thoughtful." She kissed my cheek. I kissed her forehead. And I died inside. But I knew something she didn't. I had already changed my will. Over the next few days, I played the role. Perfect husband. Supportive partner. Loving son. I brought her coffee in bed. Took her car for service. Texted her sweet messages throughout the day. She didn't know I'd started recording everything. She didn't know I had installed software on her laptop. She didn't know I had stopped trusting her 2 months ago, the night I found an unfamiliar shirt in our laundry labeled J. She thought I was still in the dark, but I was wide awake. 6 days later, she was giggling on the phone again when she thought I was asleep. And 6 days later, my phone lit up with 13 missed calls from her, after I walked out and never looked back. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me take you back to the moment this all started, the day I made the worst mistake of my life. I married her. Her name was Naomi, and she was perfect at pretending. The morning after that birthday dinner, Naomi acted like nothing happened. She woke up before me, humming in the kitchen, making coffee like some Instagram wife. She even brought me a cup in bed. "You were amazing last night," she said, curling up next to me. "Best birthday ever." I stared at her over the rim of my mug. The same lips that told someone else she'd leave me when my mother died were now kissing my cheek. My stomach turned. I didn't drink the coffee. I didn't trust anything she gave me anymore. See, the thing about betrayal is it doesn't just hurt. It rewires you. Breaks something in your brain. Makes you see patterns you ignored before. Lies you pretended were jokes. Smiles that never reached the eyes. And now? Now I saw everything. I took the day off work. Told her I had a client meeting downtown, but really, I drove to my mom's place. She was in her garden, trimming the rose bushes like she always did when she was anxious. My mom's not dumb. She's the kind of woman who can read your soul by how you stir your tea. She looked up as I approached and said, "You didn't come here just to say hi." I sat next to her and told her everything. Well, not everything. I didn't tell her Naomi was waiting for her to die so she could sell this very house. That part would come later. But I told her enough. About Naomi's distance, the call, the strange shirt, and how I felt like I was living with a stranger. My mom nodded slowly. "Then it's time you stop protecting someone who's already planning your funeral." I flinched. She always had a way with words. Then she leaned closer and said, "She wants this house, doesn't she?" I blinked. "How did you?" "I've been married. I know the look of someone counting down your last breath." That hit like a truck. So we made a plan. Naomi had always asked when we'd inherit the house. Not if. When. She'd always phrase it sweetly. Your mom's house is so beautiful. I hope it stays in the family. Or, you think your mom would ever let us renovate the upstairs when we move in? I used to think she was just being hopeful. Now I knew better. So I fed the fantasy. I started talking more about my mom's health slipping, about how she wasn't herself lately. I dropped fake hints that she was thinking of updating the will soon. Naomi's eyes would light up every time. She never said it directly, but I saw her wheels turning, and that's when she slipped up. Big time. It was a Tuesday afternoon when I finally got the confirmation. Naomi was working from home, but I knew the man she'd been calling wasn't a coworker. She called him Jay. That was the same letter I found stitched into that shirt in our laundry, the one that didn't belong to me. So I left a small mic under the table in our living room. And I waited. That evening, she poured herself a glass of wine and called him. I was in the garage, listening through Bluetooth headphones like a ghost. She was laughing careless. He totally bought it. Thinks his mom's getting worse. Once she's gone, we get the house and I walk. Simple. My jaw clenched so hard I thought I'd crack a tooth. Yeah. I'll pretend a few more weeks. Let him think we're reconnecting. But once that house is ours, I'm gone. Then silence. Except for her laughter. That night, I lay in bed next to her, staring at the ceiling while she slept like a baby. My wife. My Judas. I could have exposed her right then. I could have shouted, shown her the recordings, packed her things. But no, that would have been easy. And she didn't deserve easy. She deserved to feel the floor crumble under her. So I played along. The next morning, I kissed her on the forehead and said, I was thinking we should spend more time with Mom. You know, just in case. Naomi smiled like the wolf she was. And that was the moment I knew she thought she'd already won. But here's the kicker. The house was never going to be ours. My mom had quietly put it into a living trust 2 years ago under my sister's name. Why? Because she never trusted Naomi. She'd seen through her way before I did. She just didn't want to hurt me. So when Naomi's little plan came crumbling down, it wouldn't just be a failed betrayal. It would be a public humiliation. I just had to wait for the right moment. And spoiler alert, it came faster than I thought. Because a week later, Jay made a mistake. He texted Naomi at 3 a.m. And I saw it. A shirtless mirror selfie. Captioned, soon, baby. Just hang in there. The moment I saw that selfie, I didn't feel rage. I felt calm. Dangerously calm. Because now it wasn't just suspicion. It wasn't just a voice overheard on the terrace. Now it was proof. Jay was real. And Jay was bold enough, or stupid enough, to text my wife a shirtless photo in my house at 3 a.m. She didn't even bother hiding the notification. Her phone lit up on the nightstand while she was asleep. I picked it up. The preview showed the message clear as day. Soon, baby. Just hang in there, kiss mark. The same number I'd seen in her call log before. Saved under the name J, Marketing. That was all I needed. I didn't confront her. I just copied the number into a separate contact list I'd been building. I didn't reply. Didn't block him. I just traced him. See, people forget how much info you can find with a number and the internet. Reverse lookup. Social media cross-referencing. LinkedIn. Instagram. Venmo. It took me about an hour to find him. Jay McMillan. Mid-30s. Drives a leased BMW. Self-proclaimed entrepreneur and branding expert. His Instagram was a goldmine. Shirtless pics at the gym. Hustle hard quotes. Crypto flexes. Miami trips. And right in the middle of all that, a photo from 2 weeks ago. Him in a restaurant I recognized. The same place I took Naomi for our anniversary last year. Same table. Same window view. The caption? Nothing like good wine and better company winking face. Better company, huh? So I made a choice. No screaming. No revenge affair. No thrown dishes. Just control. I messaged him. Hey Jay. I think we need to talk. Man to man. You're braver than I thought. He left me on read. I waited. 2 hours later. Who is this? I didn't answer right away. Let him sweat. Then, Naomi's husband. This time, no reply. For 5 hours. Then finally. Look, man. I didn't know she was married. She said you guys were separated. There it was. The lie she told him. Classic. We're very much married. But that's not why I messaged you. No response. I waited until the next morning. Then sent a single line. She's playing both of us. Want proof? That did it. We met at a quiet cafe 2 towns over. I picked the spot. Neutral ground. Public enough to keep it civil. He showed up late, sunglasses on, trying to look chill. But I could see it. The tension in his shoulders. The nervous tapping of his fingers. I didn't say much. Just slid a flash drive across the table. Inside, audio from her terrace phone call. Screenshots of her telling a third guy she couldn't wait to be free of the drama. And most damning of all, a selfie of her wearing his hoodie, while texting me about wanting to reconnect. Jay's face changed as he scrolled. First, confusion. Then disbelief. Then, embarrassment. He looked up. So what's this? You want to ruin her together? I shook my head. No, I don't want revenge. I sipped my coffee. I want her to walk into her own downfall. I want her to destroy herself, thinking she's winning. He leaned back, exhaling. Damn, let her think you're still on board, I said. Keep texting her. Keep smiling. And when she finally makes her move. Jay nodded slowly. We let her crash. And here's the best part. Jay wasn't just some fling. Naomi had been funding his fake business. Using my money. Credit cards I gave her access to. She told me she was investing in her friend's startup branding firm. Turns out Jay was that friend. And the company? A shell. No clients. No product. Just a website and a logo. I laughed when I found the receipts. Thousands of dollars. Transferred in chunks. Startup support, she called it. Support my ass. Jay was furious. She had lied to him, too. Told him I was broke. That she was stuck in a dead marriage. That once she got the house, they could start over. He thought he was the future. Turns out, he was just a tool. Just like me. Only difference? I was done being used. He hadn't figured it out yet. But now he had. I left the cafe before him. Told him to keep playing his role. He agreed. I could see it in his eyes. He wasn't doing this for me. He was doing it for himself. Pride. Ego. Good. Let him help dig her grave. Because Naomi was planning to leave me after my mom passed. But I wasn't going to wait that long. I was going to let her think everything was going according to plan. Until the day she tried to claim a house that didn't belong to her. Until the day she realized the will didn't include her. And Jay? He'd be right there. Watching it burn. Just like me. Naomi always thought I was too soft. Too forgiving. Too blind. And to be fair, I was. For a long time. But once you see someone plotting your downfall with a smile on their face, something snaps. You stop playing defense. You stop trying to save them. You start planning their exit. Silently. Strategically. And that's when it got interesting. Because Naomi? She got greedy. It started with a laptop notification. I had installed remote monitoring software weeks ago, back when I suspected something was off. At first, it was just to see if she was messaging Jay. But then she made a mistake. She opened a scanned PDF in her email. Labeled, House Transfer Form, Draft. I clicked the mirrored screen. Watched as she zoomed in, slowly tracing my signature with a stylus on her tablet. I froze. My own name. Signed in perfect handwriting. Except it wasn't mine. She was forging my signature to start transferring my mother's house into our joint ownership. Not even mine and Mom's. Ours. Like she had any right. Like she wasn't planning to run off the second she got the deed. I stared at the screen, heart pounding. This wasn't just betrayal anymore. It was fraud. And not just a stupid lie to a boyfriend. This was criminal. She was using everything I had, my name, my trust, my family, to steal what didn't belong to her. I could have stopped her then. Called the police. Exposed her to my mother. But I didn't. No. I wanted her to walk herself straight into the fire. So I sent the file to myself. Backed it up. Timestamped everything. I reached out to my lawyer the next day. Told him everything, minus the details about the affair. He just raised his eyebrows. Want me to scare her? Cease and desist. I shook my head. Not yet. We updated my will instead. Stripped her out of every clause. Redirected all my accounts to a private trust. Even changed the beneficiary on my life insurance. Then we added something fun. An automatic alert. So if Naomi ever tried to initiate any kind of legal action or property claim in my name, I'd get notified. Instantly. The net was set. Back home, Naomi was all sunshine and soft hands again. Babe, I was thinking we should have a spa weekend. Just the two of us. I almost laughed. This woman was actively stealing from me and planning to ghost me, and still wanted me to fund her massages and champagne. I played my role. Smiled. Said I'd book it. I even rubbed her shoulders that night like nothing was wrong. But inside, I was counting the days. Then it happened. I was at work when the notification came in. New ownership request filed. Joint property application. My stomach didn't even drop. I just smiled. She'd actually done it. Submitted the forged documents. She thought I'd never see it. Thought she was one step away from cashing in. But what she didn't know, the title office was already looped in and flagged the file instantly. Forgery. Signature mismatch. Legal freeze applied. My lawyer emailed me a single sentence. She just handed us everything we need. I went home that night and acted normal. Cooked dinner. Washed the dishes. Asked her about her day. She said something about going to the gym. Giggled at a meme on her phone. Kissed me goodnight. She had no idea. The next morning, she got a call from the property office. I listened from the hallway as her voice turned sharp. What do you mean flagged? There must be some mistake. He said, no, I have his permission. I swear. She slammed her phone down. Her hands were shaking. I almost felt bad. Almost. That evening, she confronted me. Her voice all sugar-laced panic. Hey babe, weird thing happened. The house paperwork got, held up. Did you maybe forget to sign something? I stared at her. Quiet. Then I tilted my head. Paperwork. She blinked. Yeah, the thing we talked about. You know, just making sure we both have legal access in case something happens to your mom. I smiled. Slowly. Oh, that paperwork. She nodded, relieved. Exactly. I thought maybe you forgot to. I didn't forget. Her face froze. I leaned in slightly. I just never agreed. For a second, she didn't move. Then her mask cracked. Just slightly. Her eyes darted away. I mean, we talked about it. No, I said. Calm. Dead calm. You talked about it. I never said yes. Silence. Long, awkward. Heavy. She was calculating. Spinning new lies in her head. But it was too late. Because I was already done playing. And then? I dropped the real bomb. I know you forged my signature. Her mouth opened. Closed. Nothing came out. I held her stare. Didn't blink. Didn't yell. Just let the words hang there like a loaded gun. I've got the file. The screen recording. The submission logs. All of it. She didn't deny it. Didn't even try. Her face just crumbled. She didn't cry. Not yet. Naomi just stood there, frozen, like her brain hadn't fully caught up to the situation. You're serious, she finally whispered. I said nothing. Just stared at her like she was already gone. Her hands were trembling now. She backed up half a step, as if I'd hit her. Look. I didn't mean to. You forged my name, I said, flat. No, I was just scared. You said your mom was getting worse, and I thought if something happened, we'd be locked out. You mean you'd be locked out? That shut her up. For a second. Then she tried the next angle. The one manipulators always go to when lies stop working. She softened her voice. Let it crack a little. Stepped closer. I made a mistake, okay? A big one. But I still love you. I got confused. Things between us have been so distant lately. I thought if I just secured our future, we'd feel safe again. Our future, I repeated, nodding. That's what you call stealing now? Her lip trembled. Almost convincing. Then came the tears. Big, fat, fake sobs. Right on cue. I'm sorry, she cried. I was scared of losing you, of having nothing. I didn't mean to hurt you. Funny. She didn't sound scared when she told Jay she'd leave me after my mom died. Didn't sound scared when she laughed at me for being pathetic. She was only scared now. Because she got caught. You committed fraud, I said. I could press charges tomorrow. She looked up, terrified. Please, don't do that. Her voice cracked, and for a moment, I saw something real. Not love. Not regret. Just pure panic. Because she finally understood what she was up against. She reached for my arm. I'll fix it. I swear. I'll undo the paperwork. I'll delete everything. I'll even come clean if you want. And Jay? I asked. Her face drained of color. What about him? I tilted my head. Are you planning to fix that too? Or was he part of your long-term real estate strategy? She went quiet again. Didn't deny it. Didn't even flinch. That told me everything I needed to know. I'm not going to press charges, I said finally. She exhaled like I'd thrown her a life raft. But then I added, not yet. Her breath hitched. I want a divorce, I said calmly. And you're going to agree to it. Quietly. No fight. No money. No claims. She blinked fast, shaking her head. Wait. What? No alimony. No split. No lawyers. You walk away with what you came in with. That's the deal. Her jaw dropped. You can't be serious. I'm offering you freedom, I said. Freedom and no prison time. Seems generous. The real panic hit then. Not over the marriage. Not even over me. Over the lifestyle. The car she didn't pay for. The condo she bragged about. The vacations she told her friends she manifested. The man she used as an ATM. All of that? Gone. She realized it in real time. Her lips moved, but no words came out. So I twisted the knife. I already spoke to my lawyer. Papers are being drafted. You'll sign them. You'll leave. And you won't make a sound. You try anything, social media, lawyers, even gossip. I leaned in. I release everything. Her eyes widened. Everything. The recordings. The emails. The texts. The forgery. All of it. She broke then. Dropped to the couch like her knees gave out. No more tears. Just silence. And shame. I let her sit there. Didn't speak. Didn't comfort. Just turned and walked upstairs, leaving her in the ruins of the empire she built on lies. Over the next few days, she tried to negotiate. Slipped notes under the door. Made soft breakfast like she used to. Even tried to seduce me once. I ignored all of it. The mask was off. And without it, she had nothing. She signed the papers 3 days later. Didn't even try to fight the terms. I watched her carry her last box out of the house with puffy eyes and a hoodie that didn't belong to her. She didn't say goodbye. She knew it wouldn't matter. But here's the best part. Jay? He dumped her. 2 days after she moved out. Texted her a single line. You're toxic. I'm out. She showed up at his place the next night. He didn't even let her inside. And guess who texted me? Jay. She's spiraling, man. Thought you'd enjoy that. I did. More than I should have. It had been 3 weeks since Naomi left. 3 weeks of silence. 3 weeks of freedom. And in that time, I did something I hadn't done in months, slept without grinding my teeth, without dreaming of betrayal, without waking up to a stranger's perfume on my pillow. But peace doesn't last forever. Not when someone like Naomi is involved. Because when manipulators lose their audience, they always come back. They can't help it. It was a Thursday night when I heard the knock. Soft. Hesitant. Like someone trying to pretend they belonged again. I didn't open it. But I watched through the peephole. There she was. Standing outside in a hoodie 2 sizes too big, probably Jay's. Hair pulled back. No makeup. No plan. Just desperation. I let her stand there. She knocked again. A little louder this time. Still, I waited. Finally, she said it. I know you're in there. Her voice cracked on the last word. I just want to talk. Please. I took a deep breath and opened the door. She looked up, startled that I actually did it. For a second, neither of us spoke. Then she whispered, "Can I come in?" I stepped aside. Not because I wanted her back, but because I wanted her to see what she'd lost. To stand inside the life she tried to steal and realize it had already moved on without her. She walked in slowly, eyes flicking across the living room. It was cleaner, brighter, lighter, because the weight of her was gone. She noticed the couch was different. The photos had changed. The framed picture of us at our wedding? Gone. Replaced with a print of a mountain range. Cold. Quiet. Unreachable. Just like me. I messed up, she said, her voice barely above a whisper. I didn't respond. She kept talking, like silence made her panic. I lost everything. Jay's gone. My friends don't want to hear it. My landlord says I have 2 weeks to catch up or I'm out. Her hands trembled. She wasn't acting this time. I don't know where to go. Still, I didn't say a word. Just leaned against the wall, arms crossed. Waiting. Watching. And then it happened. She broke. I was wrong, she whispered, looking at her feet. You were good to me. You loved me. You gave me everything. And I threw it away. I stayed quiet. Let the words sit. Let them echo in her head. Do you remember when you proposed? She asked suddenly. I flinched. Not because of the memory, but because I knew exactly what she was doing. Weaponizing nostalgia. Trying to reach back into something real to manipulate the present. I nodded slowly. Yeah, you cried. She smiled faintly. Because I couldn't believe someone like you would want me. I looked her dead in the eyes. That makes 2 of us. She winced. I pushed off the wall and walked to the kitchen. She followed. Of course she did. Parasites always follow food. I don't want money, she said quickly. I swear. I need a place to stay. A week. That's it. Just until I find something. I poured myself a drink. Took a slow sip. Then looked at her like she was a stranger on the street. You want to stay here? She nodded. Just until. In the house you tried to steal from me. I said I'm sorry. I laughed. Not because it was funny, but because it was insulting. You tried to erase me, I said, coldly. You forged my name, lied to my face, laughed behind my back. I was scared, she whispered. I didn't know who I was anymore. No, I said. You knew exactly who you were. I set the glass down. You were a liar, a thief, a manipulator. And now you're just someone with nowhere else to go. That one hit her like a slap. Tears welled in her eyes, but I didn't stop. I wanted her to feel it, to feel everything I did. You want to stay here? I asked, tilting my head. She nodded again, hopeful. Then go pack your things. She blinked. What? Because I already gave your old room to someone else. She stared at me, confused. Wait, who? And that's when she saw it. The photo on the hallway table. A woman, smiling, next to me, happy, alive, real. Her mouth opened, but nothing came out. You remember Clara, I said. Her face twisted. Your coworker? You're seeing her. I shrugged. She actually liked me for me. You said she was just a friend. She was. Until you made space. Naomi looked like she'd been punched. I didn't enjoy the pain on her face. But I didn't look away either. You left, I said. Now you stay gone. She tried to say something, but I held up a hand. Don't text. Don't call. And if you ever show up again. I let the sentence hang. She got the message. She turned and walked out without another word. And the best part? I didn't even change the locks. Because I knew she wouldn't be back. She couldn't face the new version of me. The one who stopped making space for people who only show up when they're drowning. Naomi couldn't leave quietly. Of course not. People like her don't know how. They can cheat, lie, steal, and still somehow paint themselves as the victim. Because when they lose control of you, they try to control the narrative. And sure enough, 3 days after I closed the door on her for good, she went public. It started with a Facebook post. A long, dramatic one. I woke up to 10 missed calls from friends. My inbox was already filling up. The group chat was buzzing. They all sent the same thing. Naomi McAllister, March 17th, 8:12 a.m. I don't usually post personal things like this, but I can't stay silent anymore. After years of emotional neglect, I finally walked away from my marriage. I gave him everything. My youth, my love, my loyalty. And in return, he iced me out. Treated me like I didn't matter. Now he's with someone else, someone who was waiting in the wings the whole time. I wish him well, but I wish people knew the truth. She attached a photo of us from 2 years ago. A vacation shot. We were smiling, holding hands. It was strategic, calculated. A lie wrapped in a pretty bow. The likes started rolling in. So did the sympathy comments. You deserved better. Men don't know what they have until it's gone. So sorry you went through that. Someone even commented, Homewrecker Clara strikes again, pouting face. They were buying it. Every word. I could have ignored it. Could have taken the high road. But Naomi had forgotten one thing. She taught me how to lie. So I used her playbook. But this time, with receipts. I didn't respond right away. No angry comment. No cryptic subposts. I waited. Watched the storm build. Let her believe she'd won the sympathy vote. And then, I dropped the hammer. At 11:47 p.m., I posted a simple thread on Reddit. Title: My ex-wife is going viral for escaping her toxic husband. Here's what actually happened. No names. No direct identifiers. Just the facts. The recordings. The forged documents. The affair with Jay. The attempt to steal my mother's house. The deal I offered her to walk away clean. The meltdown after Jay dumped her. The post-breakup plea to just stay one more week. I included blurred screenshots. Masked names. But made the story bulletproof. And then I ended it with this line. She said I emotionally neglected her. But here's the truth, emotional neglect doesn't usually come with someone quietly taking your name off a deed before you're even buried. It blew up. By the next afternoon, my inbox was overflowing. Thousands of upvotes. Hundreds of comments. The top ones? Bro, you didn't divorce her. You escaped. Forging a signature? She's lucky you're not pressing charges. The fact that you kept it all quiet for so long shows who the real adult was. She tried to weaponize sympathy. You brought the nuke. Naomi didn't know about the post, yet, until someone sent it to her. Probably a mutual. I got the text the next evening. Naomi, are you insane? What did you just post? I didn't answer. She tried again. You're ruining my life. I sent a single message back. You ruined your own life. I just turned on the lights. She never replied, but her followers did. By the end of the week, her original Facebook post was deleted. The comments were gone. The likes disappeared. And Clara? She showed me a message Naomi had sent her. I don't know what you told him, but congrats. You two deserve each other. Clara just laughed and blocked her. That was the last we ever heard from Naomi. But here's the part no one talks about. Even when you win, even when they finally fall, there's a part of you that feels hollow, like you're staring at the ruins of something you built with your own hands. Even if the foundation was rotten, even if it had to burn, you still remember laying the first brick. After Naomi vanished from the internet, my phone stopped buzzing. No more texts. No more half apologies. No more fake concern from people who hadn't talked to me in months but suddenly had opinions. Just silence. For the first time in 2 years, the noise was gone. But what they don't tell you about silence, it's loud as hell. I didn't celebrate. Didn't go on some victory trip or post smug photos with Clara. I just existed. In this strange, quiet aftershock of betrayal. Some nights I still caught myself looking at the empty side of the bed. Not missing her. Just noticing the space. It takes time for your brain to catch up to your heart. Even longer for your identity to catch up to the truth. Because when someone manipulates you that deeply, it's not just your trust they poison, it's your memory. I started questioning everything. When did it start? Did she ever love me? Was anything real? That's the part that stings more than the affair, the fraud, the fake tears. It's realizing you were emotionally alone long before you were physically abandoned. I started going through our old photos. Not out of nostalgia, out of curiosity. Looking for cracks I missed. And they were all there. The way she always angled herself toward the camera. Not me. The forced smile in our engagement pictures. The body language. God. It was all there. I wasn't her partner. I was her prop. But grief has a strange side effect. Clarity. Because once you stop mourning who you thought they were, you can start building around who you actually are. And that's what I did. Brick by brick. Quietly. Alone. I finally deleted her contact. Blocked her on everything. Not out of bitterness, out of discipline. Healing isn't loud. It's not rage-fueled or cinematic. It's doing the mundane work of separating yourself from the wreckage they left. I took her name off every account. Canceled every auto payment she'd set up. Went to the DMV to update my records. I even changed the locks long after she'd stopped coming around. Not because she was a threat, but because I didn't want even her memory to have a key to my peace. One night, I opened the folder with the recordings. I hadn't listened to them since I caught her on the terrace. I hovered over the play button for a long time. Then I selected them all and hit delete. Gone. Not saved, just in case. Not backed up to the cloud. Deleted. Forever. Because keeping them meant I still needed proof. Letting go meant I didn't need anyone to believe me anymore. I knew the truth. That was enough. I started focusing on my own stuff again. Picked up a freelance project I'd been putting off. Took my mom out to lunch once a week. Real lunch. Not the sorry I'm stressed, here's takeout kind. I reconnected with old friends. The kind Naomi didn't like. The kind who remembered me. Not who I became under her shadow. And Clara? She didn't move in. Didn't rush it. She just showed up when I needed her. No pressure. No pretending. Just presence. And that was everything. As for the house? My mom and I decided something together. We weren't keeping it in the family. We were keeping it for the family. We set up a local scholarship in my grandmother's name using a portion of the property value. Sold the house to a young couple who'd been trying to buy for 2 years. They sent us a handwritten letter. Said they cried when their offer was accepted. Said they'd never stop taking care of the garden. That hit different. Because Naomi saw the house as a prize. But we finally gave it back its purpose. It's strange. The day you realize your peace isn't a reaction to someone else's chaos, it's a decision. And I decided. I was done reacting. Done retaliating. Done explaining myself. I hadn't spoken to Naomi's family since the wedding. They weren't close. At least, that's what she always said. Toxic, judgmental, didn't understand her, her words, not mine. I only met her parents twice. Both times, they felt stiff. Careful. Like people who were constantly stepping around something fragile and dangerous. Back then, I assumed they were just cold. Turns out, they were scared. The message came out of nowhere. A random DM from a name I barely recognized. Catherine L. Naomi's older sister. We'd only exchanged pleasantries at our engagement dinner. She'd been polite, distant. Left early. Back then, Naomi told me Catherine was jealous of her happiness. Now? She was sending me a 6-paragraph message at 2:14 a.m. It started with, "I'm sorry if this is crossing a line, but I just read what happened. And you deserve to hear this." That got my attention. I sat up in bed and kept reading. I don't know what Naomi told you about our family, but she's been doing this for years. Since high school. Using people. Manipulating. She doesn't connect with people, she collects them. Until they stop serving her. You're not the first person she's destroyed. You're just the first one who said enough. I warned her when you got engaged. Told her not to do this to you. I could tell you were a good man. She laughed. She said, and I quote, "He's too easy. I can get anything I want." I stopped reading. That sentence hit like a freight train. Not because it surprised me, but because it confirmed every horrible thing I had felt, but hadn't wanted to believe. Catherine kept going. "After your post went viral, she tried to call me. Said she needed a place to crash. Said you turned abusive. Typical Naomi. Rewrite the story before it rewrites you." I told her no. She burned every bridge in this family years ago. You were her last safe place. Now she is none. And I won't lie, it's about time. She ended with, "I'm sorry. For what she did. For who she is. And for how long she fooled you. You didn't deserve it. And you're not the fool in this story. She is." I sat there, rereading it in the dark. Not angry. Not vengeful. Just stunned. Because the truth? I had spent years thinking I was the problem. Too boring. Too nice. Too trusting. But Catherine's message flipped the whole script. It was never me. Naomi was always a hurricane waiting to happen. I just happened to be in the path. Over the next few days, I heard from more people. One of her ex-friends messaged me. She told us you were controlling. But she was the one going through your stuff when you weren't home. Another sent me an old video from a girl's trip Naomi had taken. In it, Naomi's laughing to the camera, glass of wine in hand. "If he ever gets smart, I'll just cry." Works every time. They all thought it was a joke back then. Now they saw it for what it was. A confession. Clara saw the messages too. She just shook her head and said, she played everyone like pawns. And you were the king she tried to sacrifice. That stuck with me. Because Naomi didn't just betray me. She targeted me. She saw stability, kindness, and commitment, and thought, easy prey. But her fatal flaw? She thought quiet meant weak. I didn't respond to Catherine right away. Took a few days to let it sink in. But eventually I sent her a simple message back. "Thank you. You didn't owe me anything. But this gave me closure I didn't know I needed." She replied, "You deserve the truth. And peace. I hope you finally have both." And I did. Not because Naomi was gone, but because the illusion was too. That was the real freedom. It had been almost 2 months. No drama. No updates. No sudden emails from lawyers or mutual friends. Naomi had vanished. And with her absence came something I hadn't felt in years. Stillness. It was subtle at first, like background noise had been cut off. I could actually hear myself think again. Feel my own emotions without filtering them through her moods, her reactions, her manipulation. For the first time in forever. I belonged to me. Then one night, late, quiet, cold, I got the text. No name. No contact saved. Just a number I hadn't blocked. I guess some part of me wanted to know if she'd ever reach out again. And there it was. "Do you ever miss me?" 10 characters. 10 landmines. I stared at it for a long time. I could have said 100 things. Could have listed every betrayal. Could have reminded her of Jay. Of the forged documents. Of the lies she spun like silk around my throat. I could have told her I didn't just survive her. I rebuilt after her. That Clara didn't heal me, I healed myself. That my life, now, was peaceful in a way she could never understand. I could have said all that. But I didn't. Instead, I put my phone down. And said nothing. Because the opposite of love isn't hate. It's indifference. She tried again. A week later. "I saw you posted a picture with Clara. She looks happy. You look different." Still no name. Still no profile picture. Just the ghost of someone who thought she still had a key. I didn't respond. I didn't even open the message. I just muted the thread. Because some people don't deserve closure. They deserve consequence. Naomi didn't get the ending she wanted. No reunion. No, maybe someday. No, I'll always care about you. Just silence. And silence, when someone's used to controlling the story, hurts more than any words ever could. Months passed. Clara and I took a trip up north. Cabin. Snow. Firewood. No phones for 3 days. I came back to a final message. I'm sorry. For everything. You didn't deserve any of it. I hope you're okay. I read it once. Didn't smile. Didn't cry. Didn't feel anything. Because I was okay. I didn't need her guilt. Didn't need her validation. Didn't need her apology. I had peace. I archived the conversation. Not out of anger. Just to remind myself that the story had a final chapter. That I didn't leave it unfinished. That I didn't need revenge to win. That walking away with your integrity intact is the loudest revenge of all. So, do I miss her? No. I miss the man I used to be before her. But I like the one I've become more. Stronger. Wiser. Quieter. And no longer afraid of being alone. Because I'm not alone. I'm free. Thank you for reading my story. If you made it this far, remember this. Never apologize for cutting off people who hurt you. Never feel guilty for choosing peace over chaos. And never confuse silence with weakness. Sometimes, it's the strongest thing you'll ever do.